Good morning to everyone, and thank you for tuning into our bulletin this Sunday morning, the 29th of September 2024. You're listening to the club station of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, known as ZS6STN, and your newsreader this morning is Mike Bath, ZS6XYZ. This club bulletin is broadcast every Sunday at 0845 in the following frequencies: 145.700 megahertz FM in the 2-meter band, that's our Sandton Amateur Radio Club repeater, and 7115 kilohertz lower sideband in the 40-meter band. It also goes out on Echolink when it's connected, and that's the ZS6STN-R node, which is linked to our 2-meter repeater. Please also have a pencil and paper ready to note any important dates coming up or any other information that might be relevant to you. I'll move on now to the regular features, starting with, and my notes always say the highlights from the SARL Bulletin, although quite often I read them word for word, or most of them, but I guess the biggest highlight will come in the contest news, but we'll get on to that in a moment. First item was just congratulations to Sid Taylor, the ZS5AYC, who qualified for the Double SOTA GOAT Award during the past week. Well done, Sid. Then from the SRL, there was just a quick apology to apologize for sending multiple email messages out on the 27th of September. This had to do with some connectivity issues. Then a reminder that the ZS1 QSO party this afternoon. The ZS1 QSO party is a fun activity to promote contacts between amateurs in the Western Cape and in Southern African countries. The aim of stations outside ZS1 is to work as many ZS1 stations as possible. The QSO party will run from 1400 to 1500 UTC today, with phone and CW activity on 40 meters. The exchange will be a realistic RS or RST report with your provincial country abbreviation, provincial or country abbreviation. ZS1 stations score 1 point, and ZS1 for a QSO with a ZS1 station, and 2 points for a QSO outside a ZS1 station. Other stations score 2 points for a QSO party with a ZS1 station, and 1 point for a QSO outside of ZS1. QSO with a Cape Town ARC, ZS1 CT Overberg, ARC, ZS1 OAR, and Winelands ARC, which is a ZS1 WRC, Bulletin, ZS1 BAK, and West Coast, ZS1 WK is worth 5 points each. Only one contact per station allowed, and you can submit your logs by next Friday. Then just some news on the October edition of Radio ZS. The editor of Radio ZS is finalizing the October 2024 issue, and will upload the magazine on this evening, Sunday the 29th of September. Thank you for all the Field Day articles received, and I know that the Sandton Amateur Radio Club did send an article. Burns Fisher of AMSAT SA to speak at AMSAT SA Space Symposium. Bern Fisher of AMSAT North America, who recently visited South Africa on a church choir tour, met with the local satellite enthusiasts at the SARL National and National Amateur Radio Center. Will be the speaker at AMSAT SA Space Symposium on the 19th of October. The symposium will again be a virtual event to enable amateurs and satellite enthusiasts from all over South Africa, or indeed the world, to participate. The registration is now open at www.amsatsa.org.za. From phase 1 and beyond, what will the future bring? Anton Janowski will review the progress of the AfriCube and discuss the detail of an innovative approach to the power supply. The symposium is free of charge, but registration is required. Then just another carryover from last week was the draft of the 2025 SARL contest manual. The working group has released the draft of the manual for review by SARL members. Just please make sure that by midnight or 23:59 on Monday the 14th of October, it's all submitted. There are 3 new proposed activities, as we mentioned: the SARL Centenary Marathon, the SARL 6-meter, African DX Entity Challenge, and the ISS Contacts Session. A big thank you to the Contacts Working Group for the time and effort to put it into these drafts. then we just move on to the contest news. As mentioned earlier, just that this afternoon is the QSO party. The aim of the AWA Valve QSO party is to create activity on 40 and 80 meter bands. It is a phone contest only using AM and SSB, preferably valve radios. With valves, all radios with valves in them may be used. No linear amplifiers may be used. The second leg will be held next on Saturday, the 5th of October, and on Sunday, the 6th of October. Then the results of the field day. And I think I'll leave that for the committee report, but just a big congratulations to all those involved. It's taken many years I've just observed more and more participation by our club members, and overall the Sandton Amateur Radio Club came first, and yeah, just want to congratulate everybody there, but perhaps I'll leave that for more of some of the other news. Move on to the propagation report. Hannes Kutsia, ZS6STN, reports that solar activity is expected to be at low to moderate levels. There are currently 10 sunspot regions with simple complex magnetic configurations visible. There's a high probability of C-class and a moderate probability of M-class solar flares. If you want to do your own frequency predictions, the expected effective sunspot number for the week will be around 128. The 10 meter and 20 meter bands will, especially in the late afternoon and early evening, provide some good DX fun. Again, you visit spaceweather.sansa.org.za for all that information. Finally, the diary of upcoming events. Yes, today is the ZS1 QSO party. The 2nd to the 4th is Rosh Hashanah. The 3rd and 4th of October, but this is the SARL 80 meter QSO party. The 3rd of October is the SARL 80 meter QSO party. The 4th of October is the closing date for the ZS1 QSO party logs. Then the 5th and the 6th of October next weekend is the AWA AM Valve QSO party. And in fact, the 6th of October is also the RSGB DX contest. The 9th of October is the early morning coffee QSO party. Yeah, and that concludes the main part of the highlights of the SARL Bulletin. So, yeah, I'd now like to call on the committee members from the club just to come in. I unfortunately couldn't attend, but had the AGM last night. Also got news of the results of the field day, and also we had the tech talk during the week. So, yeah, just wanted to report back on some of that. This is ZS6STN. Just going to have a listen out for Keith or any of the other committee members to call in and give us some of that news. This is ZS6STN standing by.
ZS6HI.
Good morning, Keith. ZS6HI. Thanks very much. Good to hear that you're out there. Yeah, I just maybe thought you could report back on some of those things, if I could ask you to do that. This is ZS6STN, handing the mic over to ZS6HI.
Hi, QSL. Thank you very much, Mike, for the bulletin this morning. Well received. I've been listening on and off because we're busy doing an HF assessment out at Justin's house this morning. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students with us this morning, RAE students, doing their HF assessment. Well, they're going to make 5 contacts shortly, and they're busy setting up the equipment and learning how to set up the equipment. Then yesterday was the annual general meeting, and that went very well. We had a bit of a social afterwards. We actually left there quite late in the afternoon. I think it was 5:30ish or so. Even Brendan joined us from Cape Town. He flew up from Cape Town on a 3:30 flight and then raced through to the site, which was CJ's in Bryanston, which is the venue that we've been offered as a potential ZS6STN clubhouse. So it was very well received. We had 16 proxies. I think we had about 10 people at the AGM physically, and then Brendan joined us later as well. So I won't go through the entire committee at the moment, but Brendan did put up his hand to the chair. We've got various people to manage those portfolios appropriately so that not everything falls on the chair's shoulders, which is the right way to operate anyway. Then I did mention last week the Baycar balloon is launching on the 12th of October. Well, there's going to be 3 balloons as mentioned, launching on the 12th of October. So Stuart ZR1 Whiskey Tango will be up here in Johannesburg with his whisper beacon for the circumnavigation balloon. and then we will have the main payload balloon, and we're hoping to get our SSTV transmitter on that one as well. And later on in that month of October, we've got the QRP contest, as mentioned, and we would like as many Santonites to participate in the QRP contest as possible. A number of awards were handed out at the AGM yesterday, so I have quite a few certificates for those that couldn't make the AGM and were either online or we sent through their boxes. So I've got all those certificates and those little prizes for those people as well. That's all the lecturers and all the bulletin readers, including yourself, Mike. So we've got a certificate for you and a little thank you to you. So that goes to all the lecturers, all the bulletin readers, the committee members, as well as Ferret and Samir, who is managing the R&D for us. Hold on, I'm just on a handy talkie, so I need to probably decommission. And I think that really brings us to the highlights at the moment. Mike, I hope that covers what you were asking me to cover. If there's something missing, please just let me know, and I will give you feedback on that. ZS6STN, ZS6HI.
No problem. ZS6HI, Keith, thank you very much for that. And it was most of what we were looking for. Yeah, I know also I just mentioned that there was the Power Tech Talk during the week. Also didn't manage to attend that, but I'm sure later on during call-ins yourself or someone can just give a report back if they wanted to on that. Congratulations to Brendan, and just say congratulations to all those committee members, and a big thank you, I think from my side, certainly a big thank you to all the hard work that's put in, and we're certainly seeing those results. Next on my list is to go through a birthday list for the week. We've got today Nicholas van der Schijf, and then on tomorrow Derek Tinderholm, both having their birthdays. So just wanted to wish them a happy birthday from the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. Then I move on to an item of general interest, and I know many years ago I looked up this before, but I thought I'd do a bit of research during the week, and that is that is why in America particularly amateur radio operators called ham radio or ham radio operators, and the many explanations of why amateur radio is referred to as a ham. Lots of urban legends, and perhaps read through a couple of them. First one, it is not known why amateur radio operators are called hams, but best theory was a term for bad actor, or some of the telegraph operators of the late 1800s used the term to label a telegraph operator who sent Morse code badly. Amateur radio operators were the hobbyists and tinkerers in radio and not professionals, and I'm sure that is why they did not operate their gear as well, so the term fit. Another one, ham is particularly like ham is from amateur, starting with the word sounding like ham, think amateur. Another one popular explanation for the ham came from when frequencies were being allocated. Back in the main mode of communication was telegraphy. Some said something like, you mean to say we're sharing the airwaves with those ham-handed amateurs? Ham-handed, describing the dexterity in using a telegraph key, or lack thereof. Amateurs took that intended insult as a badge of acknowledgement of sorts. Another one, in 1908, Harvard had an amateur radio club. The first amateur radio station was started by Albert Hyman, Bob Almy, and Poogie Murray. Their call sign was Hellman, Almy, and Murray, hence ham. So from there, ham radio just stuck. Still it's used today. Just many different ones. So Laura Cavalry did a little bit of research online, and I'll maybe just read what she says, and probably the most plausible. Why is it called ham radio? Amateur radio is known as ham radio, and amateur radio operators as hams. The term ham operator was originally used by landline telegraphers to refer to amateur radio operators who they thought had poor skills. According to the American Radio Relay League, website. In early days, even station occupied the whole spectrum, and government stations, commercial operators, and amateur operators would compete for time and signal position. Some of the amateur stations were very powerful, and commercial operators, frustrated with amateur radio interference, began referring to the amateurs as hams. Ham was a derogatory slang word, as in ham actor. Amateurs adopted the word and began using it to describe themselves and their hobby. Several other stories about the supposed origins of the term developed over the years, but were found to be false. Sturdy Memorial Hospital Amateur Radio Club President Gary Powers prefers to think of HAM as the acronym for Helping All Mankind. Yeah, just a little bit of a play on where that came from. So yeah, this is you're listening to the news bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, and this brings us to the end of the bulletin. Thank you to everyone out there for listening. Please feel free to give any comments. Thank you for those stations who help out on a regular basis with relays, recordings and broadcasting, and those who contribute to the content from time to time. Join us again next Sunday at 0800 45 Central African Time for the regular bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. This is ZS6STN, operated this morning by ZS6XYZ, saying 73 and 88 to all our listeners. We now relinquish all frequencies to general use.